just to explain, because the scenarios, some of it's simple. Here's the easiest path to the playoffs. Washington has 89 points. If they beat Philly, it's over. They have 91 points. Detroit can't pass them because of tiebreakers. So the first requirement is that Philly beats Washington. Washington is the only team left that controls its own destiny. For them, it's simple. Win and they're in. And there's one spot available. So if Washington wins tonight, Detroit's done. Philly can get in, and we'll get to that in a minute. Detroit is at Montreal. If Washington loses in regulation or in overtime, so if they get only 1 point or none.
If they lose.
Yep. And Detroit wins, Detroit's in.
Yes.
Detroit will get to 91 points, and nobody can catch Detroit with 91 points. And they will pass Washington in that scenario. Pittsburgh has 88 points, and they play the Islanders tomorrow night. So, Detroit and Washington both at 89 points. If neither of them get to 91, meaning Washington only gets a point tonight or Detroit only gets a point, which is overtime or shootout loss for both of them, they get to 90. Pittsburgh holds a tiebreaker over both. So that's Pittsburgh's path. Is they have to win, and Detroit and Washington ahead of them both get 1 point or less. Philly is at 87 points. Nobody can get to 90 points, right? So it's a regulation loss for Philly, Detroit, and an overtime loss for Pittsburgh. And then Philly.
In Washington.
Philly, what's that?
I think you meant to say for Philadelphia to get there, well, obviously they're playing Washington, so they have to beat Washington.
Yes. But if they beat Washington in overtime, they're out.
Right, because it's
yes.
Which is Washington would get a point out of it.
Yes, which is the weird scenario where because Washington can't get a point, Detroit can't get a point, and Pittsburgh can't get two, Philly plays Washington, meaning a overtime eliminates Philly. If Washington gets that game to overtime, Philly's out. Not everybody's heard the scenario. I know Milliken is obsessed with it. He's walking around the office going, I can't talk about this. I can't talk about this. Because what that means is 2-2 game, end of regulation. Philly can't let Washington get a point. They're pulling their goalie. Obviously, they'll pull their goalie because they're essentially losing that game.
Sure.
And so you have a tie game with a team that we need to win pulling their goalie. Now, if they score, great. But if they give up an empty netter, it could cost the Wings a chance at the season. But it is what it is. The Red Wings have, I want to say, dug themselves this hole. But that losing streak that was so painful, like a month to 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, so painful that's the reality of where they sit. Now, they're back to playing their best hockey or close to, maybe not their best hockey, but they're playing incredibly desperate hockey and clutch hockey. And they got a critical 2 points last night, still alive. Washington is in the driver's seat, but if they lose tonight or lose in regulation, the door is open for a Red Wing win and into the playoffs.